Hello, I'm Colby Smith. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you very much. Share this video, comment, like, whatever. Follow me on Twitter at ColbyJS or stalk me on Facebook if you want to get really personal. I want to talk right now about housing and where am I going to live? Me specifically. You know, I'm in the situation where I work every day. I've worked every day for the last since about 10 years, and there's no way I can afford a house. There's no way looking forward into the future, the next 5 years of my life, the next 10 years, 20 years. I think I can't imagine me owning a house. I probably could at a stretch afford to own my own house, but it would be such a financial sacrifice. I'd have to give up everything. I'd barely even be able to afford to like run my car to get to and from work. Once I took away housing and my car, petrol, tax, insurance, all of that, once I've taken away all of that, heating, water, I'm not going to have a penny left. Basically, my whole entire life is going to just be, just about sustaining my own existence. That shouldn't be the case. Why is that the case? I talk to the older generations. My mum, she says, if you just work hard, you'll make it. If you just keep working hard, you'll succeed. You'll have your own house, you'll have a nice car. I'm trying to explain, people don't get it. The older generation, they don't understand what it's like to be a young person under the age of 30 working nowadays. Unless you're on a big salary, unless you've got someone who's already left you assets like a house, inheritance, whatever, it's impossible, nearly next to impossible, to get on the housing market. My mum, when she was younger, she worked hard, and work paid off. Nowadays, you got people working 7 days a week, 2 jobs, and they're still having to claim housing benefit. They're still having to claim tax credits and child benefit. Working 40 hours a week nowadays is no guarantee to having money. You can work 40 hours a week and still be skint. And my mum says to me, you gotta hold out. Don't give up hope. Something might come along. Basically, what she's saying is, you need a fucking miracle. If you want to own your own house, you need a miracle. And and I look at the government nowadays. What's it doing for young people? It's lending them. It's not doing anything about the extortionate price of houses. It's lending people money willy-nilly. It's throwing money at people with this help to buy scheme. Basically, putting people in houses instead of building more houses. You're just pushing debt upon people. All that's doing is pushing the house prices up for the rest of us. You got Russian oligarchs, people from Qatar coming into London, buying up whole roads, streets, district, boroughs. London's not even owned by Londoners anymore. And you got people the property market is one market you shouldn't be able to play and speculate on. You got people buying up houses, rows of streets of houses, and then just sitting on them, keeping them, waiting for the price to go up before they sell them on. There's people who are already rich making a profit off of houses, when there's people at the bottom who can't even afford to get onto the market in the first place. Something's got to be done. The government doesn't want to build. You got the Labour Party coming out and saying that David Cameron is purposefully stalling new cities being built, new extensions for hundreds of thousands of homes. He's stalling that on purpose because he knows, if they increase the supply and reduce the demand, house prices are going to go up. And that is basically, you got the middle class in this country. They think they're comfortable. They think they're doing well. They haven't had a pay rise. But wages are stagnating for the last 10 years, going down by most people's accounts. And people's house prices going up. That is their pay rise. the value of their house going up, and they're clawing that money back out. The Conservatives know if that ends, the middle class is going to wake up the next day. If the housing market collapses, they're going to wake up and be like, hold on, we've been shafted here, we haven't got anything. And assets is good, but when the price is completely out of your hands, what can you do? I mean, if you get on the housing market, it's a complete gamble. They're propping it up. The same way, they were like pumped the market full of subprime mortgages, which caused America to collapse and the whole financial system around the world. George Osborne's following that exact same model right now, which doesn't make much sense to me. Housing shouldn't take a miracle. It shouldn't take a lifetime of debt for me to have a roof over my head. If people had to wait for a miracle for their next meal, if people had to wait for a miracle to clothe themselves, it'd be a different story. And people say to me, that's just the way it is. That's the way it is. That's how everyone's had to do it, sacrifice themselves their whole life. Just because that's the way it is, doesn't mean that's the way it's always got to be. Are we just like bystanders in society, just watching these events go past us? Or we're going to take an active role, see a problem and change a problem. And housing is a problem that needs addressing big time and changing. For the sake of the middle class, for the sake of keeping, the comfortable in comfort, no sacrifice people at the bottom, the voiceless, the powerless. Like, where's the social housing? This government should make a commitment to social housing. Never hear anything about that. They talk about affordable housing, but what do they call affordable? They don't understand when David Cameron comes out and says affordable housing, I just think to myself, you don't understand the concept of not having money. You don't understand. You've been rich since birth. You don't understand what it means, affordable housing. What is affordable to David Cameron? Like £1 million house? A £500,000 house? What's affordable? I saw in the news this last week, they said house prices in Cambridge, which is where I live, are going up £1,000 a week. There's nobody in England, UK, on planet Earth whose wage is going up £1,000 a week. No one's wage is going up that much. So when I look at I look at my wage flatlining, and I look at house prices going up, and I'm like, my wage is never going to catch up. In 10 years' time, if the same trend continues, I'll be even more in despair over where I'm going to live. I don't want to... I live with my mum right now. It's easy, but I don't have to put that burden on her. What? I'm going to live there, the hope that one day she'll pass the house on to me, but I've got a brother and a sister. So what's going to happen? It just makes me think, what's the point of going to work every day? I'm not earning a living, I'm just earning a poverty, I'm earning a subsistence, just scrape along. And something's got to be done about it. You got 1/4 of all MPs are private landlords. 1/3 of all Conservative MPs are private landlords. And people that rent houses, they've got no rights. The law is heavily in favour of the people, of landlords, When you move into a house as a renter, you've basically, you've got no rights. You could be out, they put this contract on you, and you've got no choice but to sign this ridiculous contract with like 1,000 caveats of how and when and why they can kick you out of the house if they find the slightest bit of discrepancy. That's no way to live month to month, thinking, if they have a house inspection, they're going to kick me out, worrying about a house inspection every month. Whether your landlord's going to just say, 30 days, you're out. And even then, renting a house is probably more expensive than paying a mortgage every month. I don't want to be trapped into a mortgage that's going to take me my whole working life to pay it off. I could work till I'm 65. By the time I get to that age, the pension age is probably going to be about 80 anyway. So I'm going to work till that point, and then I'm not going to be able to afford the repayments on my house. So then I'm going to have to sell my house. So all of that time working for putting money into my house for nothing. No, there's got to be a better way. The government should be providing people social housing, decent social housing, affordable, realistically affordable social housing on a grand scale. Is what you got the E15 mothers getting kicked out of their houses. The houses are empty. They're kicking people out just to have an empty house there. The priorities of this government need to be straight. I wouldn't call myself a socialist, but I care about society above profit. And when you've got people on the streets, you've got people who are uncertain about whether they're going to have a roof over their head the next month, that can only be detrimental to society. On a personal scale, on a grand scale, can only be detrimental. Thank you very much. I'm Colby Smith.